Good morning, everyone. Romans 8 verse 28 says this, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose." Have you ever done something for God and it didn't quite work out the way you thought it was going to work out? Did you sometimes have overconfidence in what you thought God was doing through you and it didn't work out the way you thought? Well, Romans 8:28 is the fallback verse for when you are trying to do something for God and it doesn't quite work out the way you thought it was going to work out. Because I can assure you, God had what did work out in mind. Romans 8:28, I'll say it again. "And we know that all things work together for good for them, to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose." So God had another purpose in mind, and His wisdom is higher than our wisdom. I would encourage you to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, which is Deuteronomy chapter 6. If I go to that, I'll just bring up the display capture for my desktop. Verse 4, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thine soul, and with all thy might." So we click on that verse 5. We've got these side cross-references down the side. We've got one in Matthew, one in Mark, and one in Luke. And John doesn't refer to this verse. John doesn't refer to Jesus saying about what is the greatest commandment. So if we open all these verses in new tabs, that one as well, and we'll open it up in the full text, verse 37, and we'll go to this one, open it up, verse 30, and we'll go to, not that one, Luke 10:27. Okay. Now, Jesus changes slightly what is written in Deuteronomy 6 verse 5. I'll just go back to, oops, that's not what I intended. Go back to the full text. So it says here, "And with all thy might. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might." Jesus changes it slightly, and he says, "with all thy mind." And when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, and saying, "Master, which is the great commandment in the law?" Jesus said unto him, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbour as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." So if we click on that verse, we go to the Greek. I'll just read it in the other versions first. And one of the scribes came, having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, "Which is the first commandment of all?" And Jesus answered him, "The first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy mind, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And Luke chapter 10. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And he said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou? And he answering said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbour as thyself. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right, this do, and shalt live. But he will but he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, And who is my neighbour? So Jesus brings more power to this verse, Deuteronomy 6 verse 5, by saying with all your mind, because your physical strength is reliant on how healthy your mental strength is. So if I clicked on the verse, so we can go to the Greek. And he said to him, You shall love the Lord thy God with and with all your mind. This word here, Strong's 1271. If we click on that, it says the mind, disposition, thought. So with understanding, intellect, mind, insight. God wants us to give 100% with our mind, not just with our body. And I believe that we'll find the same word if we go to these other ones. If we go to the Greek in these ones as well, and we scroll down to mind, and it's the same word, 1271. Scroll down to mind, and it's the same word, 1271. So 1271 is dianoia. We'll go to Blue Letter Bible, 1271. Put in G for Greek, and it should bring up Blue Letter Bible straight away. And we'll get the pronunciation for that word. Dianoia it is.
Strong's G 1271. Dianoia.
Dianoia. So that means mind in Greek. Dianoia. So, what is the greatest commandment? To love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. It says in Deuteronomy 6 verse 5. But Jesus in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark and Luke, he says also with all thy mind. And it was interesting that Mark and Luke, they both included might, but in Matthew it didn't include might. Jesus swapped it, well, according to Matthew, Jesus swapped out with all thy might, with all thy mind. But Mark and Luke, they included might as well as mind. So in Deuteronomy 6 verse 5, if we click on the Hebrew, and you shall love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. So the Hebrew word is 3966, the Hebrew, and miod. Muchness, force, abundance, force. So that word they're using with all thy might. So that seems to say with all thy strength, with all thy physical strength, everything you've got, give to God, and God will bless everything you have if you are doing that constantly every day. If you're loving the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength, with with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might, and with all thy mind, all thy strength, then God will bless everything that you do. And if it doesn't work out, if it goes pear-shaped every now and again, then we apply Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose. All right. Earlier when I read that, I had a sudden recollection of a proverb. Today is day 860 of 1335, but today is also the 30th of January. Oh, well, in Australia it's the 30th of January, but in Israeli time, in Israel, it is the 29th of January, and we look to Israel for our time. So the 29th of January. So we'll read Proverbs chapter 29. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Whosoever loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance. The king by judgment establisheth the land, but he that receiveth gifts overthroweth it. A man that flattereth his neighbour spreadeth a net for his feet. So that's interesting. Verse 4, the king by judgment established the land, but he that receiveth gifts overthroweth it. So there's a warning not to receive gifts, unless they come from God, of course. Verse 6, verse 5, a man that flattereth his neighbour spreadeth a net for his feet. In the transgression of an evil man there is a snare. So at verse 5, verse 5 is saying that we shouldn't flatter people. A man that flattereth his neighbour spreadeth a net for his feet. You're putting a trap for yourself if you flatter your neighbour. In the transgression of an evil man there is a snare, but the righteous doth sing and rejoice. The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. Scornful men bring a city into a snare, but wise men turn away wrath. If a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. The bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek his soul. So there's some more verses there. I might read them later in my message, in my live stream. So we're up to verse 10. We're up to verse 11 actually. So as I said, today is day 860 of 1335. And I'm counting up to day 1335 because Daniel chapter 12 verse 12 says, blessed is he who waiteth and cometh to day 1335. From Yom Teruah 2017 until Pentecost 2021, there is exactly 1335 days. And I can prove that to you. This is timeanddate.com. The 22nd of September 2017 is Yom Teruah. Yom is the Hebrew word for day. Teruah is the Hebrew word for alarm, or the blowing of trumpets. And it means alarm. And if we put in here the 18th of May, the fifth month for the Gregorian calendar, and the year 2021, and we calculate, we get 1335 days. and that includes the end date. So Yom Teruah is day 1, and Pentecost 2021, the 18th of May, is day 1335. So I did have in there today's date in accordance with, let's go back one, in accordance with the time or the date in Israel. The date in Israel, if I reload this page, is the 29th of January, 8:51 p.m. So it's that day is about to finish. And a Hebrew day is actually from evening to evening. So technically, I suppose you could say it's the 30th in Israel at the moment, because it would be evening. But anyway, I'm taking it as the date. The date is the 29th. So if we go to torahcalendar.com, we can verify the date for Yom Teruah. So Pentecost 19, sorry, that's the wrong month. What am I doing? The 7th month we want. So Yom Teruah, Day of Trumpets, 22nd of September 2017. And then if we go back to Pentecost 2021, view calendar, and we've got the 18th of May 2021, and they're the dates that I put into timeanddate.com. 22nd of September 2017, and that one there, 18th of May 2021. So that span of time, 1335 days, regularly occurs each year, except for intercalary months. So intercalary months, I'll Google that for you. Intercalary. It's all one word. Intercalary, of a day or a month inserted into the calendar, harmonise it with the solar year. Example, the 29th of February and leap years. So intercalary, you can see the word calendar there, I suppose, can't you? Part of the word for calendar. So intercalary month. So every now and again a month is added, and if we, for example, I haven't done this in, I haven't tested this out for the other years, so I don't, well, I did have a spreadsheet that had all the years, but I haven't got that on this computer. If we go to 2022 and view calendar for that month, then we have the 6th of June 2022, so we'll put that in there, 6th of June 2022, and we go back here, and we go back to that, and we go to the 7th month for 2018, because it's the following year. Yom Teruah is on the 11th of September 2018, the 11th of September 2018. I'll calculate that and see how it's 1365 days. It's added an extra month. So it doesn't always work out. But we believe that the year 2017 is significant because of the Revelation 12 heavenly sign. If we go to chart 11, which is this chart, we have the Revelation 12 heavenly sign. We have, in accordance with, when this sign was first discovered and talked about, people were saying, well, how many stars are there in Leo? There's more than 9, isn't there? And that's only if you, there's this I've forgotten the name of him. Got a chart with it detailing the information. But there was this man who came along and took the star sign for Leo and decided, well, that doesn't look like a lion. It's meant to have legs, and put legs on the thing. But it's meant to be, the lion is couching, like you would lie down on a couch. If I Google that for you, couching lion, and we click on images, then that's what a couching lion looks like. Couching lion is a lion that's lying down with its paws in front of it, and that's what we see with the Revelation 12 heavenly sign. We've got 9 stars. That's the traditional amount of stars in Leo, and the lion is couching. Then we have 3 other stars. Our planets are known as planetes, which means wandering stars. So Venus, Mars, and Mercury, they represent the other 3 stars. We have Regulus as one of the stars in Leo, and it has 9 stars plus these other 3. That's 12 stars. So the text says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered." A number of things here. First of all, I'll just close down some tabs. If we go to the text, Revelation 12, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven." The Greek word is Simeon, and it means sign. If we go to the Greek, "And a sign great appeared in heaven." All right, the Greek says a sign, and it's the Greek word Simeon, 4592. If we click on that, Simeon, it means a sign. So it's not just a wonder, but it's also a sign, a miracle, indication, mark, or token. Now, if we go to the first instance, or one of the first instance of sign in, I think it's in Genesis, well, it is in Genesis, but I'll just try Genesis chapter 1. Yeah, this word here. We click on verse 14, and if we go to the Hebrew, and for signs, so we click on 226, a sign, oath, and it means a banner, omens, pledge, sign, standard, witness, wondrous. That's where Revelation 12 got their meaning from in the King James. But the Textus Receptus says a sign, not a wonder. So Textus Receptus is Latin for received text. And I thought there was going to be more definition there for that word, but if we go back to the original verse 14, "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also." So there's a difference between the biblical zodiac, which is the Mazzaroth, and the unbiblical zodiac, which is the Babylonian version, which is the Mazzaloth. You might be thinking, what are you talking about? Mazzaroth. G'day, Heather, Marja, and I think it's TGS Source. That's Ginger, if I remember correctly. G'day Mick, g'day Yuan. Good to see you. So Mazzaroth is the Hebrew word that refers to the biblical zodiac. And Mazaloth, which is referred to in Scripture here, if we go to Bible Hub, and we click on the one instance that occurs in the Bible, 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 5, and we go to the King James. So if we bring up Bishop Usher's timeline, which hopefully I haven't closed down, there it is. So 2 Kings is written here. You might not know this, but 1 Samuel covers this period of time here. 1 Chronicles and 2 Samuel cover the same period of time, and then 1 Kings and 2 Kings covers the same period of time for 2 Chronicles. So it's like the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all have different vantage points of Jesus' life, and in the same way, these Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles have different vantage points of that span of time. So 2 Kings, we've got the Assyrian captivity happening in about 721 BC, according to this chart, Bishop Usher's chart, which was done by Answers in Genesis. Details of that here, and there's a link to this chart in the description box below. And all my charts, there's a link to them in the chart. There's a link to all my charts in the description box below. So the Assyrian captivity is occurring in 721 BC. So 2 Kings, that's where we're reading from. So the influence of the Babylonians and the Assyrians is coming to pass. So if we go back to here, verse 5, just to give you an idea of where we are in time when this was written, 2 Kings 23, verse 5, and it says, "And he put down the idolatrous priests, whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah, and in the places round about Jerusalem, them also that burn incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven." So the word for planets is Mazaloth. We'll just go back to the Hebrew, and we'll see what the text says. To the sun, the moon, and the constellations, right? So Mazaloth. So it's the non-biblical version of the zodiac. Constellations, perhaps signs of the zodiac. So when God created the stars, he had the biblical Mazzaroth in mind. If we Google that again, Mazzaroth. So I'm just giving you some context for the Revelation 12 heavenly sign. If we click on that, and thanks for your thumbs up, appreciate that. So this is a chart by Louis Vega. I'm familiar with his work, and he's got the Mazzaroth there. This is a book I've got here by Tim Warner, Mystery of the Mazzaroth, and it just goes through each of the signs and basically says how they're ordained of God. I'll bring that book in. It's in my house at the moment. I'm in a shed. I'm in a room in a shed. It's a pretty big shed, and anyway. So we've got the Mazzaroth, and that is the biblical zodiac. Now, I was growing up on the zodiac. My nan, I remember, gave me, I'm a Leo, gave me a necklace with that star sign, and my brother, he got one as well. And I thought all that was real. And then when I became a Christian, I tossed it all out. All that was just, that was just rubbish. That's the zodiac. That's just a load of rubbish. But I've since learnt that there's a distinction between the Mazzaroth and the Mazzaloth. The Mazzaroth is the biblical zodiac, and the Mazzaloth is the Babylonian, what you see today astrologers use. So just to give some context to the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, which is chart number 11. There's two. I've got two versions. Two versions. This constellation is known as Virgo, which is the Virgin. So I'm a bit tongue-tied about that. And that's the HD or widescreen version of that, and the chart 11 is the A3 version of it. So we've got, I'll just, spend a little bit of time explaining why this is so significant. So we have the constellation of Virgo. So a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. So Jupiter is within her womb for 9 months, and that's equal or equates to human gestation. It's exactly 42 weeks that Jupiter is within her womb from the time that it first hits that line there until the time it exits that line there, which is believed to be the cervix of the constellation, that line going from there to there. Because there's some more details about this, which I've detailed in a video, 14 pregnancy points of the Revelation 12 heavenly sign. So this is that chart, and then the HD chart or the widescreen chart, it details the 14 points, which I can go over reasonably quickly, but it includes all the different things that would happen during a normal pregnancy, and as well as the other points that are to do with the sign. So the woman is clothed with the sun. So the sun's brilliance clothes her. So some have argued that the sun should be positioned right in the middle of the constellation, but that doesn't happen. The sun always passes by the side of the constellation. So the sun is so bright, it does clothe the constellation. There's no doubt about that. The moon is under her feet. So every 19 years, the moon sort of moves away from the feet of the constellation. It moves towards this direction here. And so the moon is under the feet of, that's the last star there. The other chart has the name of that star, Mu, what is it? Mu Virginis, Mu Virginis, I should say. Mu Virginis, according to the Bayer designation. The last star of Virgo. So the moon is under her feet, and once again, according to Israeli time, it was at 1700 hours and 27 minutes that the moon was under her feet, and that's when the star sign was completed, when that occurred. So if we go back to the other chart. So the woman is clothed with the sun, the moon is under her feet, which occurred at 1700 hours and 27 minutes, as I said, Israel Daylight Time. Crown of 12 stars directly above her head. So I don't want to bore you with the details of this if you don't find it interesting. I'll come back to that. What I'm getting to is the second chart 2, and I'll just turn me off so you can see. I just realised that the other shots I was showing have me blocking the image. So that's what it looks like in its entirety. And I'll just do that with the other chart, chart 11. I'll just block me out. So that's what it looks like in its entirety there. And the other chart, I forget that I'm in the way sometimes. And that's what that chart looks like in its entirety. So yeah. So what I'm getting to is chart, and for those who watch my videos, you're going to be quite familiar with me explaining this. The Revelation 12 heavenly sign occurred here, and the dual chronology of the book of Revelation has chapters 6 to 11 as one chronological stream, chapters 12 to 19 as another chronological stream. So chapter 6 begins the tribulation, chapter 12 is another chronological stream that begins the tribulation. So I repeat that over and over and over again in my videos, but I haven't detailed information about the Revelation 12 heavenly sign before. But as I was saying earlier, before I digressed, as I said earlier, just gathering my thoughts here. I was talking about how this, if we go back to 1335, and no, it's not going to be there. Hang on. So the 22nd of September 2017 and the 18th of May 2021. It's 1335 days. So that regularly occurs except for intercalary months. So I just did a big sidetrack, and I've come back to where I was. I fill in time by sidetracking. So we know that 2017 was significant because of the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, which is marked on this chart here, which I'm in the way of. I'll just move to, it's best if I turn that off. So that's the Revelation 12 heavenly sign at the beginning of chapter 12. Alright. So as I was explaining about the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, I just wanted to backtrack and cover why I sidetracked before I lost memory of that altogether. Because if you go too far down the sidetrack, you forget where you were. We've got the crown of 12 stars directly above her head. She's pregnant, so Jupiter's retrograde motion for 42 weeks. So because Earth is on a moving platform, and because Jupiter is a moving platform, and they're both going around the Sun, when Earth is at a certain point, and as it's going around the Sun, Jupiter can look like it does that. It's not doing that in actuality, but from Earth's point of view, it looks as though that's occurring. So Jupiter, because of retrograde motion, is in the womb, circling around for 9 months. Giving birth, Jupiter between Virgo's legs on the 23rd of September 2017. So Jupiter comes out to here, and that's believed to be when Virgo gave birth. Menstruation, 2 to 7 days shown at the end of the astro pregnancy. So we've got 2 weeks here from after Jupiter hits that line, and then 2 weeks later it's positioned here. So the 2 weeks of menstruation are shown at the end of the pregnancy, but they should be at the beginning of the pregnancy. But that's, if you're going to, there's no other way to not show, that's my explanation for those 2 extra weeks, is that's referring to menstruation. Now, the conception comet, which I'll jump to here, I'll just bring that over a little bit. So there's this comet, and I've forgotten the name. Well, he didn't want to give his name, and there's a YouTube channel. If we Google Conception Comet, I tried to get his name, but he didn't want to give me his name. Conception Comet, YouTube. Yeah, this is the one. World Breaker, that's his YouTube channel. Okay, so he discovered this guy here, World Breaker. He discovered the Conception Comet, and you got a comment here from Scott Clark. Nice find, brother. 2017 is unquestionably a year to lift our eyes to the heavens. Scott has since deleted all his videos to do with the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, which is a shame. But World Breaker hasn't, so that's good. So using the Sky Live, if we go to that, the Sky Live, it's a online program that shows you where things are in the universe. And what's the name of the comet? What's the name? Comet C/2017 E1 Borisov. If we select that text, copy that to the clipboard, and go to the Sky Live and put that in, do a return. Hopefully it should find it, and it's not. Comments, I need to go to that. Comments, search. Might not need that. And that's the problem with doing things off the cuff. You go to do something and it's not working. If we go to the 3D simulator, just close that box. So you can see, now if we go to a certain, or the 29th of January, if I change the time to the there's a little bit of a delay with my mouse and clicking, so just bear with me. It's going to be a little bit fiddly. If we change that to September, hopefully you can see that. No, you can't. No, that's not what I want. Yeah. Anyway, I can't bring it up. Yeah, I'll squash it down, that'll do. That's what I want. Now you can see what I'm doing. So we put this in as the year 2017, and we'll click one more time there for September, and we'll go to, what was it, the 23rd of September. Well, actually the comet hit on the 17th of November 2016. 17th of November 17th of November. Computer's heating up. 17th of November 2016. And now what do I do? Stretch that down. That'll work. Just bring it down to about there. Go up a bit. Now, what do I do to bring up the comet? So you can sort of orbit around like that. Just wanted to, if I click on comet now and I paste in the name, if I just put in Borisov maybe. Oh, here we go. He's found some more. They're 2019. Just let me see if I can locate it. No. No, you did. You were able to locate it. Don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so if I go back to the chart, I've copied from that program the path of the comet, and the comet at this time, it's a bit hard to explain without using that program, but basically the conception comet hits the cervix of Virgo on the 17th of November 2016, and that at that moment it's right in the midst of the asteroid belt that surrounds the inner planets. So we've got Venus. Venus, is that the closest? No, Mercury I think is the closest, yeah. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars are the inner four planets. Then we have the asteroid belt, and then we have Saturn and Jupiter. So this is probably boring you to tears, I'm sorry if it is. But I just wanted, there's lots of details with the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, and my video, I'll just bring that up. It does take a while to explain it, and Revelation 12 heavenly sign, heaven sign, 14 pregnancy points. So there's two versions of that. I've got another channel that has it. So if we click on that, that's my video.
Is the ecliptic.
That's my video on that, and that goes for 20 minutes. So I've started to try and explain something that takes 20 minutes in well-edited time to explain. So if you want to get more details about that, go to my video.
Asteroids larger than 1 kilometer in diameter.
So anyway, the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, I'm just giving you the all the detail. I'm trying to give you in a snapshot all the details, and the chart does that. So at this moment here, it's in the asteroid belt, and I believe that the asteroid belt represents sperm. The conception comet is a sperm, and it's in the midst of all these asteroids, which effectively is what a comet is. So that's the ejaculation part of it. Then we have insemination, which is the comet hitting Virgo's cervix. And we have the Fimbria ovarica. Now you might not know this, right? But go back to the hand tool. You might not know this, but this is a picture of a uterus shown on the right, and the fallopian tube is that tube there, and this here, this apparatus, when a woman ovulates, the fringes of this here tickle. They reach out and they tickle. Sounds incredible. Tickle the ovaries, and that's at the time of ovulation, and an egg goes from the ovaries into that opening and goes down the fallopian tube, and then sperm are there, then the egg gets turns into a zygote, if I recall correctly, and it starts dividing and all that sort of thing, and then it embeds itself into the uterine wall. So the longest of those is called the fimbria ovarica, and that correlates to, I believe, the Hanukkah lamp, because on the 26th of November 2016, that is when, I've got another chart that details all that. This is just a snapshot of that. So I'm just going to go, I'm just going to touch on things. I just give a little bit of detail here and there. That's in the fimbria ovarica, ovulation, conception, implantation, and the date for that is very close to the 26th of November, which is when Hanukkah occurred, according to TorahCalendar.com. And then we have the baby bump, where your Jupiter goes slightly outside of the space of the womb, and then we have this red dwarf star cries out, makes a noise at a certain period in time, which was an interesting thing because it's right near the Virgo's mouth. But I detail that in my video, what all that is, and I think there's links in the description box. If we go to this, oh no, I haven't got any more details about that there. But the Ross 128 is something you can look up. It is a red dwarf, and I think the details about it crying out have since been removed from Wikipedia because radio signals. In the spring of 2017, astronomers detected strange radio signals thought to originate from Ross 128. They were unlike any they had seen before. SETI's Allen Telescope Array was used for follow-up observations and was unable to detect the signal, but did detect man-made interference. So something came from that region, and I forgot, Laura, her name is. She discovered this. I can't remember her surname. So it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. That is definitely the Revelation 12 heavenly sign. There's no doubt about it. It ticks all the boxes, and it's got a lot more. So when I refer to the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, that's where my mind goes. It goes to all the details about that. It's 100% legit. So then when I refer to chart 2 and I show you, I'll just make a note here about something. When I refer to this chart, I'll just turn me off again. When I refer to this chart and I'm referring to the Revelation 12 heavenly sign, my mind just goes, that is the sign. That is definitely the sign. And see if I go back through on my videos, I was saying this the other day. I didn't didn't actually check this, so I'm going to just check it now. When my first video about this was, people first started commenting on it online in 2011. William Tapley, Scott Clark, Louis Vega, Revelation 12 Heavenly Sign, Wikipedia. The Revelation 12 sign prophecy. So it details William Tapley was the first to bring it about on his YouTube channel. Scott did a video, but Scott, I believe, is the one who discovered it. He just that he was a bit late doing a video about it. Louis Vega, he also believes that he discovered it. And then we have Dan Matson as well, who details it in his video, in his website, Watch for the Sign. So I was just gonna look at when I first did it. Just bear with me. Skip over a few. Just get the date of it. That's it there. So yeah, January 2013, I did my first video about the Revelation 12 Heavenly Sign. So that was 2 years after it had been discovered. And things in Australia, things trickle down from America. We're usually, like they used to say about 20 years ago, they used to say that it takes about 15 years or 10 years for things from America to get to Australia and become part of the social fabric, so to speak. So like the blood moon tetrads, and there's a link in the description box below about that, they were discovered in 2008 by Mark Biltz. Well, I didn't hear about them until I reckon 2012. So 4 years later, no one was talking about it in Australia. So I think the gap between Australia and America is shortening because of the internet and because of social media and that sort of thing. But it's much shorter bracket. But church-wise, Christianity-wise, depends on what it is, I suppose. But something like this, it wasn't the Revelation 12 Heavenly Sign. It wasn't until the weeks leading up to it that people in Australia started talking about it. So yeah. So when I refer to my chart number 2, the dual chronology of the Book of Revelation, when I see that sign, I just know it's 100% the sign. So if we go back to what I was saying here, with the 1335 days, that 1335 days regularly occurs between Yom Teruah and Pentecost. And you could even say, oh well, I think that's another. I was going to say the disciples, when they were counting up to Pentecost after Jesus had ascended on day 40, they had 10 more days, and they would have been counting up those 10 days until Pentecost, and they were gathered in the upper room. I think I've checked the dates. I think that's a 1365 span rather than a 1335 span. So I believe that 34 AD was the year that Jesus was resurrected. So the 1335 days is can only be applied to us in our time, in terms of people waiting for that day. The disciples, it doesn't fulfill that week, that 1335 days, which is half a week nearly. Might not have made a lot of sense what I just said then, but nevertheless, 1335 days applies from Pentecost, from Yom Teruah to 2017 until Pentecost 2021, and except for intercalary months. So the year 2007 is highly significant, And it just so happens on the 23rd of September 2017 that Prince Harry was at the Invictus Games, Toronto. So if I Google, and I've gone an hour now, and the Toronto Invictus Games 2017. So if we put in opening, and we have all these pictures. We've got Prince Harry here, and he's wearing his RFID bracelet. Justin Trudeau's wearing one. She's wearing one. She's wearing one. Can't see his. I know in another photo he's wearing one. But I believe Prince Harry would have been the first to put that RFID bracelet on, and then he would have handed them out to other people. He certainly knew that it was coming to wear them. So here's another photo of it. You can see he's wearing one, the bloke next to Harry. There's Harry's there. Just making sure that's in shot. So the Invictus Games, if I go back to there, 2017 Invictus Games, and so the opening ceremony was the 23rd of September 2017, which is off screen, and I'll just move that over. So the date there is the 23rd of September 2017. So what are the chances? It's just phenomenal, all the things that are to do with Prince Harry and him fulfilling things in regards to the Book of Revelation. Because, and I always refer to this chart, this chart is, there's a link in the description box below to this. It's a post on Facebook. You can get the details there, and you can check out the Hebrew text and all that. But there's 7 names. Prince Harry has 7 names that equal a reference to number 666. Harry Mountbatten Windsor, Harry Spencer, Prince Henry Albert David, Captain Henry of Wales, Antichrist Look to Harry, Prince Charles of Wales, and Harry all refer to the number 666. Harry equals 216, which has the factors 6 times 6 times 6, and the rest all equals 666. Prince Henry Albert David drops the name Charles, but we pick it up again with Prince Charles of Wales. So that refers to his father as well as to Harry. Harry is a Prince of Wales, so it can also refer to Harry. All right. So I think I'll leave it there. Sorry I haven't attended to anyone's comments this morning. I just feel like I want to have a break from the comments today. So excuse me if I do that. Normally I do read, or I'll definitely read them after I end the stream, but I just thought I'd just go straight through without looking at the comments today. I didn't plan that beforehand. That's just the way it's worked out. But so thank you for listening. Thank you for your thumbs up. God bless you. Hope to see you tomorrow, Lord willing, in another episode of our Count Up to day 1335. So God bless you and thanks for watching. Bye.